So this is the site of the Lewis and Clark expedition on May 28th. They spent the night right here. This is a historic Lewis and Clark camp. It is not an accessible place. You can see our crew there. You can only access this by the river, and we're about 2 days in. It's the only way you can get to this Lewis and Clark site. Anyhow, the reason they stopped here is because they saw something really unusual. There was a what they thought was a pishkin, or a buffalo jump. As they were coming up the river, there were hundreds of dead buffalo carcasses. All right, dinner time. We're surrounded by cows and we're eating steak. I like it. Anyhow, there was hundreds of dead buffalo carcasses here, and they assumed it was what's called a buffalo jump. A buffalo jump is where the Indians will corral buffalo by scaring them and have them go over cliffs. And they took a look at this cliff over here, and it goes a long ways, but you won't be able to get it through the trees. And they assumed, with all the dead buffalo, that this was a buffalo jump by the Blackfeet Indians. It turned out to not be that way. The Blackfeet weren't around here in big numbers, and more than likely, the dumb animals just fell off the cliff. But they died here in the river and in big numbers, and their bodies started to stack up, and it got pretty gross. While they were encamped here that night on the 28th, a buffalo came into camp, and I'm just going to read Lewis's journal because I think it's kind of funny and kind of brief. But here's what he said happened that night. He said, he talks about it the next day. He says, "Last night we were all alarmed by a large buffalo bull which swam over from the opposite shore and, coming alongside of the white pirogue, the canoe, climbed over it to land." And there's a lot of wind here if you can hear me. "And then, alarmed, ran up the bank in full speed directly towards the fires and was within 18 inches of the heads of some of the men who lay sleeping before the sentinel could alarm him and make him change course. Still more alarmed, he now took his direction immediately toward our lodge, passing between 4 fires and within a few inches of the heads of the range of the men as they yet lay sleeping. When he came near the tent, my dog saved us by causing him to change his course a second time, which he did by turning a little to the right, and was quickly out of sight, leaving us by this time in all the uproar with our guns in our hands, inquiring about what was the cause of the alarm." It says, "The next morning we found that the buffalo, in passing the pirogue, going over the pirogue, had trodden on a rifle, stepped on a rifle, which belonged to Captain Clark's black man, who had negligently," this is York, his slave, "who had negligently left her in the pirogue. The rifle was much bent. She has also broken the spindle pivot and shattered the stock, and the blunderbusses, the shotguns were broken as well." And yeah, and that's it.